Okay, user Tony on the Stamp Bearers forum had posted a question about how to mimic a Steiner page or how to edit a Steiner page, specifically looking to do something along the lines of taking a page where Steiner has included the stamps as an entire booklet like this one, and instead break it up into the individual stamps like it is on this 2014 page. So what I'm going to do is do a quick demo of how to use the Scribus plugin that I wrote to do just that. It's going to be approximate because I don't have a Steiner page in front of me, so you may have to tweak the font sizes and border sizes and things like that a little bit once you get a hard copy printed out. But this should hopefully at least get you started. Okay, I'm going to start by going into Scribus, and I've loaded up a new document here. And this is a letter size page, but of course in Scribus you can do whatever size page you need for your specific pages. First thing I'm going to do is go ahead and try to draw a border that mimics what you would find in Steiner. So I'm going to go to Insert, a Shape, Default Shapes, and a rectangle. And I'm just going to draw a quick rectangle here. I'm not even going to try to place it necessarily where it needs to be on the page. Then for the properties of this particular rectangle, I know from looking at a Steiner page and doing some measurements that the borders are roughly at X position 22.013, and I'm using millimeters here. The Y position is at roughly 9.984. The width is roughly 183.991, and the height is roughly 259.009. Okay, and that should give us roughly where the border would need to be on a Steiner page, at least the outer border. On his pages, Steiner uses a thick-thin border. To duplicate that in Scribus, you're going to have to do them separately, the thick portion and the thin portion separately. So this being the thick outer line, I'm going to set the line width at approximately 0.706 millimeters. That should be close, though, once you get the page printed out and held up next to a Steiner page. You may need to edit that thickness or the position just a little bit to make it match exactly. All right, so that should be our outer frame of the border. Now we need to do an inner frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to grab this outer frame and hit copy and then hit paste. And so now I have two of them. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm going to use the same X and Y positions, except I'm going to move it just slightly. So, for example, if I move it 1 millimeter to the right, 3.013, 1 millimeter down, 10.984, and then I'm going to shrink the width by 2 millimeters, 181.991, and the height by 2 millimeters, 257.009. And then I'm going to change the thickness of the line to roughly 0.353. Okay, so now when you look at it, we should have a thick outer and a thin inner. All right, so this should be roughly what you'd find on a Steiner page. Now, in order to preserve this across multiple pages, what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to save this page. I'm going to convert it to a master page and just call it Steiner border. All right, so now in the future when I do a new page and I apply that master, it should give me that border. For example, if I go to insert a new page at the end and tell it I want to add the Steiner border, my new page has the Steiner border, just like that. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete that page. Don't need it. All right, so now we're back on the original page. The next part of what we need to add is the title of the page, which is just the country name. So we're going to insert a text frame, draw it here, about that big. Then down in the properties, we're going to go to text and change the font to Helvetica because that's what Steiner uses on his pages. And the title on the page should be a 12-point font. And I'm going to center it in the box. And then the actual text, we're going to go in here and type France in all caps. Okay, then to center it on the page, all we do is select the border and the text box so that it's all selected. Then go down to Align and Distribute and select this one in the middle that centers on the vertical axis. And it will center the page title on the page. And then on Steiner's, it's fairly high up, so we'll just bump it up here. And again, this is one of those things that you may need to do a little individual adjustment on. Okay. Next up, the subtitles on the page. If you look at what was on this image, he had a subtitle on the page. We'll bump that down just a little more. All right. I'm going to copy this text box and just drop a new one in there. So now I have 2 copies. All right, I'm going to go in here and just type. If I can find the text, there we go. Signs of the zodiac. Self-adhesive booklet stamps, 2014. Now you'll notice the box didn't grow as we go, as I was typing, so I'll need to grab it and manually make it bigger there. But now the font on the subtitles is not the same size. It is roughly 9 point, so we'll go in here and change this to 9-point font. Again, it's centered. And just to make sure it's still centered on the page, we're going to select everything and again center it on the vertical axis. All right, it's already centered. Shrink that up a little bit and we'll just move that up right about there. All right. And again, you can tweak these as necessary once you get to actually seeing what it looks like on your pages. All right, so now we've got everything on the page except for the stamp boxes, and this is where the Scribus plugin comes in. So what I'm going to do here is open up the spreadsheet from the Scribus plugin, and I'm going to go to the little load a preset up here, and I'm going to click give me the Steiner-ish looking preset. And then I've made a few additional modifications to the Steiner preset from the one that's available when you download a copy of the app. Based on the measurements that Tony gave me, I've upped the padding distances, the distance from the stamp to the frame to 3. In the preset that ships with the download version, it's actually set to 1. And I've upped the internal spacing here in line 9 to 5. And changed it to set. So I've got inside face value, a horizontal set with 5 millimeters of internal spacing, and then I've bumped the padding up to 3. All right, so I've created a new tab for the data, which includes all these stamps, which are 33 by 33 millimeters. For Steiner purposes, you don't really need a title or a date or a catalog number. The face value is 20 grams, and you don't really need a caption either. But I've got the data in there. So now all I have to do is change these to, I'm going to go 3 at a time because in this version of the app, it doesn't do multiple rows at once. That's coming with the next version. So it will do 1 row at a time. So I'm going to do 3 at a time. I change them to true. I hit export, I select France, export, and then when I go back over here to Scribus script, and I run the script, and there they are. 3 boxes that should be roughly the top line of those. Okay. And then to center them on the page, again, I'll select everything on the page and align and distribute, center on the vertical axis. There they are. Now, there's a couple ways you could do it to get the rest of these on the page. I could manually go through and change these to false. and change the next 3 to true. Hit export again, France, export, script, run script, and it'll give me 3 more. And again, I will select these and line distribute them to the center, and then just bump them up where they belong. The other way you could do it with this particular set, because they're all the same size and they're all the same value, you don't even necessarily need to rerun them. You can just select them, hit Control-C, copy, Control-V, paste, and it gives you a duplicate there. So there you go. Something that is close to mimicking that Steiner page.